Hello and welcome to eChineseLearning Pod, your go-to podcast for learning Chinese and exploring Chinese culture. To protect speakers' privacy and enhance audio quality, some or all voices in this episode are created with AI assistance.
We all know that feeling, right? That heat that starts to rise, the tightness in your chest, anger. It's about as universal as it gets. But here's the thing that I think gets lost in translation a lot of the time. Anger isn't just one single thing.
Not at all. It's a spectrum.
Exactly. I mean, there's a huge difference between being a little irritated because, the Wi-Fi is slow and being just incandescent with rage over something serious.
Right.
And so the question for you, if you're learning a language, is how do you actually communicate the level of that feeling? How do you signal, hey, I'm at a 2 out of 10 here versus this is a full-blown catastrophe?
And that is exactly what we're going to get into.
Today, we're doing a really fascinating deep dive into how Chinese offers this brilliant and precise emotional thermometer. We've got some great source material looking at 3 specific phrases for 3 very different levels of anger.
And this is so critical because it's about moving beyond just, the dictionary definition of angry. It's about getting the nuance, the cultural delivery. If you use the wrong phrase at the wrong time, well, you could sound ridiculous, or you might come across as completely unhinged.
So our mission today is to unpack these 3 expressions, give you the context, the intensity, the playbook for how to dial your frustration up or down correctly.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're going to start at the very low end of the scale, just mild, everyday annoyance.
A low simmer.
The low simmer, I like that. This is the stuff of, bad customer service or someone taking your parking spot. It's not rage, it's just friction. And the phrase we're looking at is
不顺心.
This as the milder, everyday way to show displeasure. This is your baseline, your professional standard almost.
And to really get it, we need to break down the characters, right? Especially that second one.
Yes. So shùn on its own is a great word. It means something like refreshing or comfortable or pleasant.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like if you have a cold drink on a really hot day, you might say, shùn. It feels great.
So then you add bu, which is the negative particle.
And you get not refreshed.
是
Or not feeling great, which is, it's the perfect description of that low-level kind of sour feeling of being annoyed. You're just not happy.
It's totally internal then. It's a feeling you can hold on to without, blowing up a meeting or ruining your whole day. The source material had a really good example of this, I thought.
The work one, yeah. It's perfect. The sentence is,
被老板批评了，我有点不顺心。
Which translates to, got criticized by the boss. I'm a bit annoyed.
and that little phrase, a bit annoyed, is everything. You're acknowledging the feeling, but you're not escalating it. You're not challenging anyone. It's socially acceptable.
It's controlled. You're signaling, I didn't like that, but in a way that keeps everything moving. So is the baseline.
It's the baseline. Perfect for those small professional frustrations.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. It's kind of like the polite way to be upset. But what happens when it's not polite anymore, when something really triggers you and you genuinely lose control?
Right. Now we're moving up the ladder.
We're past that internal feeling and into a real temper flare.
And the language shifts completely.
Yeah.
We're going from something internal and cool to something external and hot.
The next phrase is
火大了.
And the imagery here is just immediate.
火
Means fire.
fire.
and 大了 means it's gotten big.
So literally, the fire has grown large. The sources define this as flipped out or really ticked off.
I love that fire imagery because it suggests something that just combusts, unlike
不顺心.
which feels very contained.
This one is active.
It's a reaction.
That is the key difference. Something set you off.
Yeah.
If you use
火大了.
you're telling someone your state has shifted from like passive annoyance to active anger.
There was a trigger.
There was a distinct trigger, and the example from the sources shows this perfectly. It says,
听到那个消息后，我真的火大呢。
Meaning, after hearing that news, I really flipped out.
see? The news was the catalyst. It was an event. It caused this immediate reaction. You wouldn't really use this with your boss, for example.
No, that would be a bold move.
A very bold move. Saying you're
不顺心
is one thing. Saying
火大了
that signals a real emotional rupture. You're telling them you've lost your composure.
So this is more for venting to friends or family, people who understand a flare-up isn't, your permanent state.
Exactly. It's a flare-up, not a 5-alarm fire.
That distinction is so useful. The social stakes are completely different. But what if it is a five-alarm fire?
Or the fire is just completely overwhelming.
Yeah.
If 火大了
Is flipping out. What do you say when you are just completely and utterly enraged?
Well, that brings us to the top of our thermometer.
Our final and definitely most dramatic phrase.
气死了
And this is where we get into the art of hyperbole. The literal meaning is intense. So,
气
can mean air or breath or even vital energy.
Okay.
死了
Means died.
Wait, so angry to death.
Pretty much. So mad I could die. Or my vital energy has been consumed by anger. The sources call it the hyperbolic way to vent extreme anger.
Wow, okay, so that's obviously not literal. It's a cultural tool, right? Using this massive exaggeration to show the sheer volume of the emotion.
Precisely. It's a safety valve. You're not actually dying, but you're communicating a fury that feels all-consuming. It's for pure cathartic venting.
What I find so interesting is that it's often used for things that are kind of mundane, like chronic frustrations. The example really highlights this.
It does. The sentence is,
他又迟到了，我气死了。
Which means he's late again. I'm absolutely furious.
and think about that for a second. Someone being late, even if it's all the time, is a pretty casual offense.
Right, it's not a huge betrayal.
But it gets the most extreme expression of rage. And that's because
气死了
this is often the language of powerlessness. It's what you say when you're venting about a recurring problem you can't fix. You're telling your friend, I am at my absolute limit.
So this is exclusively for informal close relationships. I can't imagine saying this in a professional setting.
Oh, absolutely not. It's far too melodramatic. It signals a complete loss of composure that you'd really only say for people you trust. The drama of
气死了
belongs in the venting space, not the boardroom.
That really ties it all together so neatly. It's not just about how angry you are, but where you are and who you're with.
Exactly.
So let's recap. What's the big picture here? We've basically been given this incredibly precise emotional thermometer.
We have. And it shows how language gives us these sophisticated tools for, well, for emotional communication. It's not just one word.
Right. So first, at the bottom, we have the internal contained annoyance.
不顺心
Not happy, not refreshed. Keeps it all inside.
Then you have the external flare-up caused by a specific trigger.
火大了
The fire's gotten big. That's for when you're venting among peers.
And finally, the cop. The extreme hyperbolic fury.
气死了
So mad I could die. That's the ultimate cathartic release for those recurring frustrations.
The aha moment for me is realizing the language itself gives you the structure. It sets the emotional volume for the situation, which is just, it's essential knowledge if you want to communicate effectively.
Which leaves us with a really interesting question for you to think about. We've seen how Chinese uses specific vocabulary, even built-in hyperbole, to create this clear hierarchy of anger. So think about your own native language. Does it have specific, dedicated phrases like these? Or do we rely more on things like tone of voice and volume and just, nonverbal cues to show the difference between being a little
不顺心
and completely?
气死了
That is a great question. It's just powerful to realize how much precision can be packed into a single phrase. This was a fantastic deep dive.
My pleasure.
And to all of you, until the next one, keep exploring.
Want to practice what you've learned today with a real Chinese teacher? You can get a free one-on-one trial lesson at eChineseLearning.com. That's it for today's episode of eChinese Learning Pod. Thanks for tuning in.